Hey everybody, welcome back to Champion Sons and our Formula One series following Champion Sons Racing. As we have got a big episode for y'all today, as we are going to be in the Netherlands for the Dutch Grand Prix. Now, this is round 5, so this will be our 5th race of the season. Um, it's a tough track. There's a lot of turns on here that are wide, swooping turns, and then a lot of them that are pretty sharp. Now, the weather conditions, it is a perfect day. It's been I think, about the mid 70s, give or take. Um, and the problem that we have on this one is there's just, like I said, the swooping turns, but they come off a lot of speed areas. You don't see a whole lot of major elevation changes. There's only 14 total turns in the track, but it's something that you have to be on your toes at all times during this race. Now, we are going to be trying to get ourselves some constructor points, championship points, and we're going to try to get driver points. As you see, Valtteri Bottas is in the lead of the drivers' championship. Since we did have to simulate this a lot coming up to this point, we did not win the Bahrain like we did before in the previous episodes during the simulation to catch up here. So we've run into a little snag there. However, I think we finally got our car kind of handled and are used to the controlling of it on the next gen PlayStation. As you see, we did claim the pole position there, but we do have the Mercedes close on our tail, both of them. And then Pierre Gasly is back in the 12th spot. He is our rival that we are facing off with. So we are doing well against him, but we just need to try to make sure we do well against those top racing teams. And so we are going to get underway in this one as we hit the gas pedal, and we are going to get a great jump starting out here in this opening little straightaway coming into this first set of turns that we have. Now, Bottas and Hamilton, both Mercedes, are in second and third. Vettel and Verstappen were fourth and fifth. They kind of switch back and forth, the Red Bull and the Ferrari. So we do have the lead, and we have jumped out pretty big as we have well over a second, coming up on 2-second gap between us and Hamilton, which is what we need. A lot of turns works out better for us in the long run just because we don't have the same type of speed setup that they have with Mercedes and Red Bull. So these turns, as long as I can continue to hit them pretty decently and don't get out of control too much, these turns will really play to our advantage as we go forward in this race. This is a 36-lap race. There is a lot of things that can happen during that time frame. But I think as long as we continue to race smooth around these corners, we'll be able to keep this gap as much as needed right now. In these turns, as you can see, this is what I'm talking about. Some of these big swooping ones, it seems easier to hold on to them. However, soft tires, there's a bunch of grip coming into them. So it's not everything you'd like to think it would be. Now, leading off in the first lap, we did put together the fastest lap. However, this is going to be early on in the series or early on in the race. So that's what we're kind of looking at having to deal with right now. Only lap number 2, bunch of turns, holding it steady, getting these all green. And as you can see, we're still maintaining maybe about a 1.5 to 2 second lead on Lewis Hamilton. So as we get near the first pit stop, soft tires that we're probably going to have to pit within about 5 to 8 laps generally, with the wear and tear, especially having to hit the brakes coming into these sections. I need to try to get that gap a little bit heavier. Now, Valtteri Bottas is almost 3 seconds behind us. I'm not too worried about him. It's Hamilton that has my primary concern at this point. But coming around one of the final turns here on lap number 2, getting ready to come across the finish line, and we have got a pretty decent sized lead. Hamilton is starting to close, and I keep checking behind just to see how far behind he really is. And we're going to go ahead and jump forward to the 9th lap, and you'll see Lewis Hamilton is right on our tail, and in fact there he goes shooting around us. There was nothing we could do outside of wrecking ourselves and Hamilton to stop him. And look at that. He is just pulling away. I told you about the speed packages that they have and the tire wear. Ninth lap, these soft tires are pretty broken down, and so we are going to have to pit pretty quickly. I did hold on to them for a little bit longer than what I was really wanting to. So that has really affected our speed and overall our control of this car comes into all this thing. Trying to hit them pretty well on the inside, maintaining them pretty decently for the most part. Some of them I get up on that little red and white, and it sends my tail out. I just can't control it the way I need to. So lap number 9, we're actually going to go ahead and take our first pit stop since we did get passed up. Let's go and get a new set of tires on here, and so that way, come a little bit later in the race, we'll be able to keep grip on this track going forward. So we're going to pull in. It took us about 8 seconds to get there, and looking at a 3-second pit stop. That's a little bit slower than what I normally want. Normally, under 3 seconds is ideal. So 3.0, it's not bad, but it really isn't all that good either. So coming out of the pit, we are going to be in P12. Now, 26 laps to go in this race, so there is a lot of racing left. And thankfully, these cars have kind of spread themselves out quite a bit, so we don't have big major packs to try to have to get around and potentially risk damaging our vehicle. And so we do have Grosjean and Gasly, our rival, are both in front of us. They are 11 and 10 respectively. And so we do have Grosjean definitely in our sights. It needs to be our first concern before we look at passing up Pierre. Coming up pretty quick. Now, brand new hard set of tires. They are still on their soft original, so we should be able to catch up to them fairly quickly. Just, I guess, I need to maintain control is the biggest thing, and that's just gonna shoot it, hold it, and almost banging off the wall there. Maybe able to keep it. Just got to get these tires warmed up so we can get that grip back. But if you look, cutting down that time, Grosjean is less than a second ahead of us now. We do activate our overtake, a little extra bit of stored energy we have in the battery, as that will get us right up on Grosjean's keister. Coming around turn number 1. Getting into that's another hard part about finding out when are we able to shoot the pass. So we're going to take the outside on Grosjean, and we hold our spot. He tries to force us off, but we will hold it. And this new set of hard tires is warmed up, and we will get past Grosjean right there. He tried to force us off the track, but holding our position, there's nothing he can do. He had to let us go by. And so now, Pierre Gasly, we're coming for you, dude. Going to take down our rival. This is be a big role to try to, advance up in Formula One and get our claim ramped up as we are. If we can take him out and be able to put some smooth moves right past him. We're coming in P11 here on the 11th lap, getting to the back end of lap number 11. Try to get around him on the outside. He did shut us off pretty quickly right there. And so here we come to the final turns of the 11th lap. Almost 1/3 of the way through, and I'd start to lose it right there, but maintain control. So now we come back on lap number 12, the official 1/3 mark of this race. We are in the top 10. Now, we started out number 1, so top 10 isn't exactly great, but it is something that we need to hang our hat on to try to at least get some points, right? I'd rather get some points than wreck myself and get none. That is kind of where I'm at on that. So trying to set Gasly up, but all these turns, all these corners, even though they're large swooping ones, you have to time it out really perfectly to be able to shoot around him on that. And he's doing a pretty good job of holding us off. I got to give him all the credit in the world for that one. So we swing that turn a little wide, and then coming into the following one, we hit it just perfectly, getting all green in those sections. And so now coming around once again to the back half of this track, trying to make sure we keep this gap close. We are still within half a second. We do have the DRS. I just didn't think I needed to get it. Shoots. Try to go to the inside on him. He cuts us off once again. Holding it, and that's not good. We bounced off the wall right there. The damage to our front wing, it's not horrible. I am going to continue with it. I don't see a point to stop right now. It's so long in the race. where we are. Um, if it becomes a control problem later on, I will at that point basically go ahead and pull into the pits. All right, so here in lap number 13, we've moved up into P6 thanks to the pit stops. And like I said, that's why I generally try to take the earlier stops and then get the harder tires on the back end. That way I can catch up as these pit stops start coming. So Sergio Perez is in front of us in the fifth spot with Alex Albon just in front of him. Now behind us we have Max Verstappen and Sebastian Vettel with Red Bull and Ferrari respectively, so that is going to be something I have to keep a watch on, especially with Verstappen right on our tail, less than half a second away and closing that distance. It is not something that you want to have is trying to block in and out. So here we come at near the back end of the lap number 13. These last few turns, got to hit them perfectly. And we do hit them pretty decent right there. That actually expands our lead between us and Verstappen. But once again, the Red Bull cars, Mercedes, Ferrari, all of them have some major power advantages over ours that we're definitely going to have to work to develop. But we will once again claim the fastest lap in this race for lap number 13. Now, we are going to maintain our spot, and we're going to advance a little bit on up in this race to lap number 33, the final 4 laps, as we have maintained spot number 7 after Sebastian Vettel did get around us on a couple of those turns a little bit before this. So we do have Albon right there in our sights. He's another Red Bull car. However, he's not the premier Red Bull car that Verstappen is. So I think we can catch him, but he is right there. We just need to focus on hitting these turns proper and closing this gap. We do have medium tires. They have been on for about 8 or 9 laps at this point, so they are starting to wear just a little bit. But we have definitely, I think, have the advantage over him. He's still going on an old set of hard tires, so we should be able to work that, and over the next lap or so, get past him and at least get into P6 position and have a shot at a top 5, taking out Vettel in front of him. So the final turns of lap number 33, we will have 3 laps remaining in this race after we come across this finish line right here. And we are only a little over half a second behind Albon, 4 seconds behind Vettel. But look at that, we are able to close this gap real quick. We just need to make sure. We are going to start coming into some lap traffic, and that becomes a problem, especially if we're caught up behind them as we almost run into the back of Albon. We have to hit our brakes hard, as that allows Albon to kind of shoot out in front of us. Got to pay a little bit better attention coming into these final turns here. Lap number 34 at the halfway mark. Still about less than half a second behind him. We just have to find a time to make our move. Our teammate, who is part of the lap traffic, is right in front of him. If we can use him to help us get around Albon, that'll be just ever the better. And at least he is kind of holding him up just slightly as Albon starts to make his move. And we're going to push it to the outside of Albon. Now here comes a turn we shoot in, and we actually got that one. He is still fighting us off, but we risk shoving him off the track, and he yields that position, hitting the brakes as we'll squeeze in to spot number 6 here on the 34th lap. 3 laps, well, 2.5 laps to go at this point, as we come down to the straightaway to cross the finish line with 2 laps remaining now, lap 35 and 36, and we have another man in our sights, Sebastian Vettel. It's the battle of the Sebastians, I say. Vettel versus Champion. 2 laps to go, 3.5 second difference between us. We have been closing this gap between us and him pretty consistently, on our way to catch Albon and Perez that are now behind us. But here we go. We don't really have much of them in our sights because, like I said, there are so many turns that you have to take that it's really easy to lose track of someone. But we are continuing to push this vehicle, and we are hitting these turns beautifully, all in the green section. The braking that we were able to hit is just phenomenal. That one, kind of some pretty poor driving on my part. I'm hitting that turn too tight. As you can see, Vettel did kind of get a little bit jump on us after that. Now, once again, another problem is this lap traffic in front of us. I cannot get stuck behind him. We have only about one more lap remaining. So 2 turns right here. And once again, I run up on the inside too much, and that will slow us down. As we get ready, so many guys, so many lap dudes. You have Venazzi up there. He's still pulled off to the side of me, so let me by. As we are on the final lap, 1.5 seconds remaining between us and Vettel. Lap number 36. This has been a long, arduous one. 2 Ferraris, Vettel and Leclerc. We can take down Vettel. I just need to have some perfect smooth driving at this point, and we got to push it. We are still trying to fight that gap between us, but his car just makes it on all of those dang straightaways. It just seems like there's nothing that whenever we get around these turns I can do to actually be able to keep pace with him, man. And like I said, as you see, every time we start to get a little bit closer on these turns, right now we got it to just about a second on the straightaway. He gets that extra gap over us and speeds off. That is something we obviously need to work on developing our powertrain within our team and our car here. And so we are coming down to the final 2 turns of this race. We are in P6, so yeah, we started out in first bit in the pole position, and we weren't able to maintain it, but P6 is a pretty dang good finish against the guys who finished off in front of us. We're talking Lewis Hamilton, Valtteri Bottas, Max Verstappen. They all took first, second, and third, respectively. Then you have Ferrari of Charles Leclerc, who got 4th, Sebastian Vettel 5th. We were able to squeeze into that 6th spot. So Mercedes, well done to them. It's just car development. That's all I can say about that one. Not like we didn't give it our best shot. One bad turn. I don't think that ruined our race, but it really did put a hamper into us. I will say that. All right, so now we get to watch the other guys celebrate while we drown in sorrow, basically. Have to watch the other guys celebrate. It's part of it. If I don't want to see them celebrate, I need to beat them. That's what needs to happen on that. All right, so yeah, there they are. Lewis Hamilton, Valtteri Bottas, and Max Verstappen. That's pretty, people talk about realism in games. That's generally pretty dang realistic as far as to the way things happen for the most part of Formula One. Every now and then someone else squeezes their way into third or second or may even pull out a number 1 finish, but that's a pretty rare thing. Those 3 guys generally tend to, take home the top spots. All right, so we do have some media inquiry. Let's see what's going to be going on. You're breaking all expectations. What's your secret? No secret, having a great team and great car. Yeah, that's really just to build up the acclaim. That's something that helps us out, especially later on when we look to get number 2 drivers again. A lot of paint on the walls today. A lot of paint. I don't remember anything. Trying to say either the car wasn't set up right. You're foolish, lady. I will never admit to such things. I'm not taking my team down. That's on me. All right, so that will do it. Next one, we will be in the Spanish Grand Prix, and so I will see y'all then. Now remember to subscribe if you have not already, and hit the thumbs up on today's video if you did like it. And I will see y'all in the next one. So as we continue with some little business aspects, I just want to say, everybody, stay safe. And, well, you know how it goes. Later, y'all.